So today we are going to take the newspaper session of how to study the newspaper for the UPSC exam. ये सेशन बाइलिंगुअल होने वाला है और इसमें मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि जनरली कौन सी चीज़ें, कौन से टॉपिक्स हैं जो इम्पोर्टेंट हैं, जिन्हें हमें पढ़ना है एक पैटर्न से, क्या हमें इग्नोर करना है और क्या हमें इम्पोर्टेंटली हाईलाइट करके अपने नोट्स में इंटीग्रेट करना है। सबसे पहले मैं द हिंदू को लेता हूँ क्योंकि वो एक स्टैंडर्ड न्यूज़पेपर है फॉर द यूपीएससी एंड ऑल अदर कम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स, एंड यू कैन ऑल्सो टेक द इंडियन एक्सप्रेस. There's not much difference. First of all, you should make notes of today's lesson because it's important for reminder in future of what to do and what not to do. We are taking few points what not to study, how to study, and what is important for UPSC exam, because it's very important for you to know that important क्या है और क्या छोड़ना है. Like this, record women turnout. ये स्टेट स्पेसिफिक चीज़ है बट जनरली हम इग्नोर कुछ भी नहीं करते, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा चीज़ें अपने नोट्स में इंटीग्रेट करते हैं. हमें ये ध्यान में रखना चाहिए कि क्या सिलेबस का पार्ट है और क्या सिलेबस का पार्ट नहीं है. जो भी सिलेबस के बाहर की चीज़ है, हो सकता है वो वैल्यू एड मटेरियल हो, बट इट्स नॉट आवर मेन कंटेंट. मेन कंटेंट हमें प्रोवाइड होगा हमारे सिलेबस से, जो कि GS 1, 2, 3, 4 एंड जनरल, बिकॉज प्रीलिम्स का सिलेबस वेल डिफाइंड नहीं है बट मेंस का है. तो हम मेंस के सिलेबस को एज अ गाइड मानेंगे न्यूज़पेपर को पढ़ने से पहले. आप चाहें तो पॉज लेके एक बार सिलेबस को देख सकते हैं ताकि रेफरेंस में हमें प्रॉब्लम ना हो. अब हमें क्या नहीं पढ़ना पहले वो डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. लाइक लोकल न्यूज़, फॉर एग्जाम्पल this city page, it's completely state specific news and not of national importance. And UPSC is Union Public Service Commission. That's union means center, means India level news, but we cannot ignore the state issues as well. So political news, first of all, political news. The other is party news, party or individual targeting. Third is local news. We have to ignore all these. And sometimes the advertisement like this as well. But few advertisements are helpful as well, like an Amul ad which is showing unity in India, or others that can be used as an example. So we are done for what not to study. Now we'll go to a second point, that is how to study. So we'll begin. See, that is COP 30. That means it is a static part of GS paper 3, environment, ecology and climate change. So we have to deal with this in GS paper 3 while studying the environment. But here we cannot ignore that there's a news, so there's a high possibility that either in prelims or in mains the question will asked on this topic. We have to ignore this news as well because some individual is involved. This is an important topic, but not a specific topic on which a direct question can be asked in mains in internal security. But general points of terrorism or threats to internal security can possibly be asked. Now we'll come to this types of news. All conspirators will be brought to justice, says Modi. That's a totally political speech, but by our Prime Minister. So it has some importance for GS paper 2 IR and not much importance in GS. You can use it as an example कि इंडिया की स्ट्रैटेजी चेंज हो चुकी है टेररिज्म को लेके. We now deal terrorism as a serious threat and not like a blame game कि हो गया आप क्या करें. We will take severe action like Operation Sindoor. So this is not very important. This is not very important. This also is not very important, but you have to revise your static part for the topics which are in news. So make a note what to revise. And mostly 90% of the news will fall into this category of revise. Some points are value add points which can be added in mains the value added content. थर्ड कैटेगरी होने वाली है हमारी जो कि होगा बिल्कुल न्यू करंट अफेयर्स, तो अभी से पहले नहीं हुई है, कोई ऐसी टर्म हो सकती है, कोई स्पीशी हो सकती है, बट जनरली 90% चीज़ें जो हैं वो स्टैटिक पार्ट से ही आने वाली है करंट से, उसको ऐड या तो बढ़ाएगी या घटाएगी। अब ये ऐड है सपोजिटली, यहाँ बात हो रही है गोल्ड ETF की। यूपीएससी प्रीलिम्स में ETF आ सकता है। ये क्या होता है? एक्सचेंज ट्रेडेड फंड इज ETF। सो वाइल इन डीलिंग विद इकोनॉमी वी हैव टू स्टडी ETF। हो सकता है कि टर्म बुक में ना हो क्योंकि आज से पहले इसके बारे में इतनी बात ना हुई हो। सो वी हैव टू टेक दीज टर्म्स, राइट डाउन इन नोट्स एंड आस्क इट फ्रॉम चैट GPT और Google and integrate with notes. We have to integrate with our main notes. Supreme Court issues notice to EC on plea against SIR. So there can be a question on Election Commission. There can be a question on SIR, systematic intensive revision. So these are the static topics. SIR is not studied much by students, so there's a possibility of a question in mains as well as prelims. And a general question on Election Commission because there has been much acquisitions on Election Commission this year. So be ready. Supreme Court condemns assault on two students from Caroline capital. This is again not much important. Just read this for this kind of news. You don't have to go through all this. It is all bullshit. Just keep a brief eye on this. Understand? Because it's individual involved in the news. Live in harmony. Preamble. A topic in the preamble. So by reading this, you get an idea of the whole news, like this whole news in just this much lines. And even this is waste. But you have to read this full article or a full paragraph just to understand or come to the important topic. Live in harmony. Harmony is a mentioned topic in preamble. This page of city is not much important. CM declared Tanla composition waste. This is waste. Waste. Fake alarm of RDX car trigger panic in Bhopal. Waste. Just use this as a value add material. Like hoax threat, that means fake threat. इसका मतलब झूठी धमकी। अभी रिसेंटली एयरपोर्ट्स को और स्कूल्स को बहुत सारे होक्स थ्रेट मिले हैं बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट के, अराउंड 250 प्लस, बट एक भी नहीं हुआ। इसका सिक्योरिटी में ऐसा पॉइंट आ सकता है, हम लिख सकते हैं आंसर लिखते समय कि दिस इज टू क्रिएट अ फियर एन एनवायरमेंट ऑफ इनसिक्योरिटी टू डिस्टेबलाइज द पीस। द होक्स थ्रेट्स वर यूज्ड बाय द एंटी सोशल एलिमेंट्स। दिस इज वेस्ट. दिस इज ऑल्सो वेस्ट. This is also waste. This is also waste. Political news. Waste targeting individual. That's our PM. Stray dogs पे इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन नहीं आ सकता, बस सोसाइटी पे आ सकता है कि अर्बनाइजेशन का पॉइंट बन सकता है कि व्हाट आर द चैलेंजेस फेस बाय एक्सेसिव अर्बनाइजेशन और द इमर्जिंग चैलेंजेस ऑफ अर्बनाइजेशन और द चैलेंजेस फेस बाय अर्बन सोसाइटीज. स्ट्रे डॉग इशू, अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट का वर्डिक्ट आया था, तो यू कैन मेंशन दैट. सो बेसिकली 90% चीज़ें जो हैं वो स्टैटिक पार्ट है, 10% या फिर 8% जो है वैल्यू ऐड है और 2% केवल नई न्यूज़ है जो अभी तक आपने नहीं सुनी होगी. AQI, ये पॉइंट भी अर्बन में आ सकता है, अर्बनाइजेशन में. GS पेपर 1 इंडियन सोसाइटी की प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ हेल्थ आर क्रिएटेड ड्यू टू एक्सेसिव अर्बनाइजेशन लाइक AQI इशू. AQI के पीछे कारण व्हीकल्स, कार बना दी, आपको कार नहीं बनानी, मैंने समझाने के लिए बनाया. व्हीकल से भी ज़्यादा फैक्ट्री, उसके अलावा हाउस होल्ड पोल्यूशन, उसके अलावा अनरेगुलेटेड कंस्ट्रक्शन, और भी बहुत सारे पॉइंट हो सकते हैं. सो AQI स्टबल बर्निंग हरियाणा यूपी साइड में. सो AQI इज जस्ट अ पॉइंट, उसमें आप एग्जाम्पल लिख सकते हो. स्टबल बर्निंग, व्हीकल, फैक्ट्री, स्मॉग बनता है स्मोक और फॉग से मिलके, विंटर्स में बहुत ज़्यादा होगा, विजिबिलिटी नहीं आएगी. सो this is how you use the current affairs. It means this is waste, this is also waste. Waste. You can use this as again value added material like a quote of concluding remark if a question on tribal communities arise. Tribal communities are not just beneficiaries of the government schemes but drivers of the Indian progress. So you have to keep this in your notes by writing it in a separate copy of current affairs, date by date. So this is the news acquiescing Subhash Chandra Bose. What's important is INA, Indian National Army. Question on mains arise. Mains. Prelims. Who founded INA? This is a static part. Again, this is all static. 90% of the news is static. INA, Subhash Chandra Bose, other contributions, other names. What are the projects done by him? Islands got independence. Of which state he was the PM? This is all covered in static part. Factory keep the workforce engaged. You can read it just for a reference or the value add material is potentially found, but it's not much important. It's less important. AI hackathon, it's also value added material. Just by heading, you don't have to read all this shit. Just read this headings and you can get a rough idea about what the article is saying. Okay, these are all advertisements. We don't have to see this. This is also waste. Again, the state part is 99% waste. There's a mere possibility of finding some important news or current affair from this. This is waste. DMK and SIR state specific thing. Again, not very important or not important for our purpose. SSC scam. This is not important. The comment Parth Chatterjee released jail after. It is not important. Just this is important. Not for SSC. The question can be asked. Paper leakage or what are the problems of Indian education system? So you can write a point like paper leak example 2025 SSC scam done. So it's a value added point or a sub point of the heading and the mains. This is how the news are studied. Like this is an advertisement by Himachal Police walkathon, like public awareness campaigns. You can use this as an example. Walkathon. Keep these words in your diary. So keeping a diary is very much important for you. We'll get back to this. This is editorial section. On our next video in detail, in this video we are generally covering the rough points for the mains or prelims and not diving deep into this huge editorial section. But still, the infirmities in the SIR electoral rules. Just SIR is important. Read it, give it a quick read if you have a good reading speed, or just take a screenshot and upload it to ChatGPT and ask it for a summary for the UPSC or the important points for mains relevant content from this article. It will give you a 5-pointer or 6-pointer summary. And if data driven article is there and not a biased article, then you have to read it thoroughly. We'll have a detailed section, so a detailed video on editorial 1 or 2 days later. Act of Devil, promoting social harmony is integrated to counter-terrorism strategy. So it has little bit of data, but not much important it is. Just use this as a concluding remark or introductory remark in certain type of question. Most probably conclusion. Fishing Tower India must persuade its fishermen to give a bottom trawling. So what is bottom trawling? Just Google it or chat GPT in the background. International Maritime Boundary Line. This is prelims question. Bottom trawling. This is prelims question. So you don't have to go through all this. Just cover your static part thoroughly and by heart. Joint working groups on fisheries. This can be a prelims question. So Palk Bay again. What is Palk Bay? Where it is? Or what are the surrounding nations of Palk Bay? You have to go through quickly. Exploited workers, labor policy, empty promises. So there is some data. There is some strong data. So this article is important. for mains. But for understanding this article, you have to first complete your labor policy, which is GS paper 3, Indian economy static part. After reading this, you will easily understood what is important, what to leave, and what to study. Employer state insurance as an example, industry are the example. We'll do a detailed section. I'm just roughly going by this article just to give a hint. Shram Shakti Niti 2025, it can be used as an example. Future Ready Ancient Indian Ethos, unemployment, employees, International Labour Organization, what are the rules given by it, E-Shram, Arogya Yojana, state insurance, social security account, gig sector. So these are all static part. You have to deal with all this in static part. Then this data, like zero fatalities by 2047, like 12 million gig workforce. Now, if you don't know gig workforce, how will this 12 million data is important for you? So first, you have to cover your static part for understanding these kind of articles, like OECD, Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, International Labour Organization, LEPI, policy, this Shram Shakti Niti. This all are generally encountered in the static portion. So first deal and just keep noting the data for these topics. Problem with veins conversion, which this is not important for us. India recorded higher greenhouse emission for 2024. So this is all bullshit for you. Just keep a rough data, like in percentages or uh, round figure data. 69% of GHG. So almost take it as 60,000 metric tons of CO2. Now again coming to this topics. Number of people killed in suicide bombing in Islamabad. Waste for us. Unemployment in UK. Not important for us. This can be relevant for an example of social issues. Share of Indians showing signs of high blood sugar. If 50% of the people are facing blood sugar, so it will cost to medical cost on state. So you have to develop this kind of study pattern where a cause and effect relation is derived. Because if this much of the people are facing blood sugar, then they have to take medicines which are expensive, very expensive. So they'll ask government to provide subsidy, again burden on taxpayer. This is a loop. This is all a loop. So just note down this data, and after covering the static part, you will get to know its importance. This is not important. This is also not important. What do forensic experts do after blast? So this is not about the blast. This is about forensic science of detecting the bodies, like Air India plane crash of 2025. So until you don't have your static part covered or of DNA fingerprinting, just go through this and you will get a rough idea of what is written here. Just read this. What do astronauts wear pressurized suit? Read this for general knowledge. A possible a possible prelims question can be asked. So importance of pressurized suit in space or in vacuum. So this is a concept. What are the status of the rare Earth hypothesis? So what is? Just Google it in brief. Don't give it much time. Rare Earth hypothesis. And upload the screenshot on ChatGPT. It will give relevance and type. Give me UPSC relevant material from this article. And this is not very much important, but possibly there can be a single question in prelims. In highest turnout, the state news. SIT equal representation. What is SIT? Equal representation you will study in GS paper 2 polity. This is waste. This is also waste. What are the bipoles? Static part again, GS paper 2 polity. Illegal tree felling, Supreme Court, RAP Uttarakhand High Court for sting prosecution of Corbett ex director. Waste. Illegal tree felling, again static part, GS paper 3. Supreme Court SIR is not the first voter list revision. Opposition says is done in Hastro. Waste. Opposition is involved, no? For political news, and we have to avoid political news. Sabrimala missing gold, political news, or a local news. Woman doctor arrested in GA terror module case in Delhi Karagars. Waste. This is also waste. This is also waste. Left parties. Waste. This is also waste. Is also waste. This is also waste. Just read it, not for the paper, but for your general knowledge on how a foreign policy should act and getting the signs of what's happening around the world. COP30 again, a static part. Supreme Court judge imported ideas may not save endangered species. So what are the status of different kind of species? Critically endangered, danger, vulnerable, extinct. Again static part. Great Indian bustard. This is a prelim question. So just write the names of these kind of species, their status, or the best way to study is just type this name in ChatGPT and ask UPSC prelims important content. Bus. ChatGPT will give you all the content related to Get Indian Bustard, which is important for prelims. This is also waste. This is also waste. Waste. Non-BJP states waste. ISRO conduct crucial safety test on main parachutes of Gaganyaan crew. What is Gaganyaan? GS paper 3. Science and tech. This is all static. Safety test, main parachute. These are the stages. Parachute stage, loading, unloading stage. So you have to know the Gaganyaan first. And in the Gaganyaan topic, these all parts are covered. A few times there can be a question from this as well, but not here. So just give it a quick read and find some important personality, like who gave the concept of Vedant, not Vedant, Advait. So Vishisht Advait, the names of the personalities associated with this following concept. So just as a reminder, like Adi Shankaracharya, some article is here, his name is here, and his concept is here. So who gave concept of Vishisht Advait? 4 options. Who gave concepts of Advait? Ramanujacharya, Adi Shankaracharya, Ramadracharya, etc., 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 etc. So just use ChatGPT. Just type the name of the person, UPSC important prelims. That's enough. It will give all the following concepts points to you. The others which are not mentioned here as well. Nivele Bhatt trustees. This is also waste. Net text collection, net direct text collection. So this is a static part. This is the data which can be noted down for quoting examples in mains. But first you have to know this. What is direct text and what is net direct text? This is also waste. 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 This is not important, but cloud gaming is important. So general concept of cloud gaming should be Googled or ChatGPT. Center wants to go big in medical tourism. So what is medical tourism? Or promoting Forex, you can use this as an example of promoting medical tourism. Just go through ChatGPT or Google to know a brief information about what is medical tourism and why India is preferred for that. This is also waste. What is equity? What is debt? What are the mutual funds? You have static. Other is waste. And the US government shut down and said to stop gap bill advance was waste. 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 This section of world is generally waste until some data driven you have to read it. Read must, but not important for use in exam. Just to become aware or getting a quick grasp about what's happening around the world. So that's important for you to read what are developments, and sometimes the data is important here. Minute and bit 2 waste. Waste. This is also waste. This is also waste. This is also waste. Typhoon. So what are the different cyclones called in different nations? This is static part again. Other is waste. Sports section you have to completely ignore. Just read the magazine at the end of the year. For this, because of 1 or 2 questions is asked, and for 1 or 2 sections you have to read 2 papers, a total waste of your time. The page of science is important. but specifically of Sunday in Hindu. The rest you have to read it. There might be some important news, but mostly not the case. Scientists map neural pathway linking tests to enhance fears. Total waste. Just read it for a reference. What's the quick summary of this article? And now, all plastics are not the same. Just read it. There's possibly a question in the prelims. James Webb Telescope, possibly a mains question. This is possibly a mains question. So, what are supermassive black holes? A mains question. So, it's not about covering the news. It's just about how to study it. In next session, we delve into it in more detail, especially for editorial and some doubts if they are not resolved in this video. So that's all for today, and we'll meet in our next video.